Hey, Dontrell Hilliard, you have just been Smitty approved. Top 5 running back.
You're watching the Fantasy Football Show.
Do you want a deep sleeper in 2019? A running back that you can draft at the end of your draft, maybe in larger leagues, maybe in medium to large style leagues. I'll tell you who it is. It's Dontrell Hilliard, the backup running back in Cleveland. Let me start off by saying I love Nick Chubb in 2019. I think he's a top 5 to 10 running back per start. But my caveat there is per start. I think he needs to be backed up properly. Now, unfortunately, this means that you grab multiple backups here. And a lot of people aren't going to want to hear that. But let me tell you something. You probably shouldn't own Nick Chubb if you can't back him up properly. Because his backups mixed with this offense are guaranteed top 5 to 10 production if you ask me. So you have to ask yourself, if I'm going to own Nick Chubb, do I have enough roster spots to back him up properly? Am I in a Yahoo league where you can only have 4 running backs or 5 running backs total, or maybe 2 bench running backs and 2 or 3 starters, and that's it? And those of you that just own Chubb, you can put your earmuffs on, or you can yell at me in the comments and say, Smitty, how can you call Nick Chubb injury prone? The bottom line is the guy is one of the most abusive runners in the league to both the people trying to tackle him and to himself. He's not a big-time PPR guy. He might pull in more passes in 2019, but a majority of his work and duties is between the tackles, getting hit, getting smashed, and hitting the ground with his big frame over and over and over again. Given the makeup of his frame, given the size of the guy and how aggressive he runs the ball, he will be more susceptible to injury than the average running back. If you want to argue that with me, that's fine. I don't know that we'll get anywhere if you are a Nick Chubb owner and you don't own any of his backups. Most people that are against backing him up at all, especially when it comes to Kareem Hunt, they don't want to hear it. All they want to say is, every single time you talk about it. In fact, I'm convinced that the world has 2 populations of people: those that will draft Kareem Hunt and those that will not. I get the argument that, hey, I don't want to roster a player that's out half a year, especially if you're in a smaller league. I get that. But if you plan to own Nick Chubb in an offense that is probably a lock to produce a top 5 to 10 running back per start, I believe you should be in the business of backing him up properly, because it helps you sleep at night. It guarantees you running back 1 production. If I know beside the bye week that I'm going to have a top 5 to 10 running back production in my lineup, I would grab 2 backups if I had to. And in this case, you might need to with Nick Chubb. In some cases, Kareem Hunt will be on waivers, and you can leave him on waivers until you get closer to his return. But now you have Dontrell Hilliard entering the picture as the backup to Nick Chubb, at least for the first half of the season. Now, at a glance, you might say, okay, well, I don't need him. I need Kareem Hunt. If I'm going to back Chubb up at all, it's going to be with Kareem Hunt, because that's the main guy here, right? But what if Chubb goes down in week 1 or 2? Dontrell Hilliard is already trusted by this team. During that very amazing, successful drive in the preseason where the first team marched it down the field and scored a touchdown, they integrated Dontrell Hilliard and Nick Chubb at the same time in that drive. And the coaching staff already said that Hilliard will replace Duke Johnson's role. That means he's a PPR relevant guy right out of the gate. And the best news is you can get Hilliard right now anyways at the tail end of your draft. My advice to any Nick Chubb owner right now, especially if you missed out on grabbing Kareem Hunt or you refuse to roster a running back that's out half a year, which I understand, you still need to go out and grab Dontrell Hilliard. If Nick Chubb, who again is one of the most aggressive runners in the league, to himself and those trying to tackle him, goes down early in the year, let's say week 2, week 3, Dontrell Hilliard will step right in and play elite football. He will be the number 1 option. He'll be the first man up, and he'll already be sprinkled into this offense to the tune that this team will trust him right out of the gate if they need to insert him into the lineup. I get a funny feeling about Dontrell Hilliard. I hope that he doesn't have to start in any games in 2019, because if he does, that means Nick Chubb goes down early. But I'm scooping him up in every single league I'm in, because I get a weird feeling that this guy is going to become relevant sooner rather than later. Back Nick Chubb up properly if you want to guarantee yourself top 5 to 10 running back numbers in 2019. This offense is that good. The situation is that good. Situation is king. If you don't protect yourself, you won't guarantee yourself that top 5 to 10 running back numbers. Why would you not want to protect? I don't care if it takes 2 or 3 spots to lock yourself into top 5 to 10 running back numbers. If you have one of your spots covered, other than the bye week, to give you top 5 to 10 running back numbers, why is it not worth it to cuff both Hunt and Hilliard, or at least one of them at a time? If you don't own Nick Chubb, go get Dontrell Hilliard anyway. He could be, if Nick Chubb was to go down in week 2, week 3, week 4, he would be this year's version of last year's James Conner. He would be this year's version of Philip Lindsay, where people are racing to go pick this difference maker up. And you can own him right now if you act fast.
You're watching the Fantasy Football Show.